After an accident, minutes matter. Your words and actions matter even more. You need help, and you need it now. This is David vs. Goliath, brought to you by Dolman Law Group Accident Injury Lawyers, a boutique firm with a reputation for going head-to-head with the insurance company giants and putting people over profits.
Welcome to another episode of the David vs. Goliath podcast. I'm Matt Dolman, here with my partner in crime, Stan Gipe from the Dolman Law Group. Stan, I know you're on the plaintiff steering committee for the Suboxone tooth decay, tooth loss lawsuit that has been consolidated in the Northern District of Ohio. What's the latest that's going on in this case? I know that we had an episode about 2, maybe 3 months ago where we kind of gave a 10,000-foot view of this case. Where are we now? What's going on?
Well, stuff is moving fast, okay? So as you know, because we've talked about it, but our listeners may not, there's a number of states that have what's known as a statute of limitations. Well, okay, all states have a statute of limitations. Statute of limitations is the time within which you must file a lawsuit. So, for instance, in Florida, if you get in an auto accident, you've got 2 years to file your lawsuit. If not, you can never file it. That's what's known as a statute of limitations. In Suboxone claims, there are some states that have 2-year statute of limitations. So Suboxone claim, if you didn't hear our prior podcast, this is a lawsuit that's centered on the fact that the Suboxone strips that doctors were prescribing to help people get off of opiate addiction would dissolve. They're highly acidic, and they themselves would cause extensive tooth decay. So what we're finding is people that use these Suboxone strips, had tooth decay to the point that some of them lost all the teeth in their mouth. Right, so there's a lawsuit saying, hey, they should have been warned. And then, in fact, in June of 2022, the FDA made the maker of Suboxone put this tooth decay warning on the product. So many firms, most firms, are using that date, the date the warning was put on, as the date that the statute of limitations begins to run. And we're about to be 2 years from that date this coming June. So everyone who's got claims in those 2-year states are working on gathering all the information you need to file the lawsuit and getting these lawsuits filed before the statute runs. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what we've found internally, and you know this because we've talked about it, it's hard sometimes to get the records you need, and a lot of times people don't know what they're taking. Like anything else, if you were to go talk to, let's say, I'll go with something you see advertised all the time. You go talk to a group of 15 men and they were being candid with you. Let's say guys over 50, and you ask how many of them are taking Viagra, right? You might get 5 hands that raise. Okay, probably 2 of those people are taking generics, right? But they're thinking, hey, I'm taking Viagra. They're taking the generic version. Does it matter when you're using the product? Maybe, maybe not. Does it matter when you're making a claim against the manufacturer? Absolutely. So what happens is we got a number of people that know that they were taking something like Suboxone. They were taking the active ingredient in Suboxone, so they're just calling it Suboxone, okay? We get records back sometimes, and we find that they're taking a generic or weren't taking the name brand product.
Or some type of sublingual buprenorphine, which is the active ingredient, but they're not taking and that's a generic form of Suboxone. They're not taking sublingual Suboxone strips, which is what our case is, and it's against the manufacturer, Indivior, and that's the problem we have.
Right, so it's been pedaled to the metal over here at the office, at the firms we work with, really I think at everyone who's involved in this plaintiff steering committee for these 2-year cases, because statute's coming, get the records proving proof of use, right? That's kind of one of the hurdles. We got to be able to show that these people actually use the sublingual Suboxone name brand strips, right? Proof of use, pharmaceutical records. Okay, second thing is proof of damage, right? We need some kind of proof that they've actually got tooth decay that we can put forward as their damage in the case.
And prior dental records to substantiate their teeth were in good shape or much better shape prior to using the Suboxone sublingual strips.
Yes, if you've got all 3 of those, essentially in a nutshell, you qualify, right? You qualify as a Suboxone claim. Proof of use, proof of damage, proof of prior dental. Okay, that being said, I can tell you most of the people sitting here, okay, if someone's used Suboxone, if someone's used anything, I'm going to bet 99% of the people that are sitting here could not produce proof of use for any of the drugs they're taking that would be prescribed by CVS or Walgreens, because you don't get your pharmaceutical records. Like, you just don't get that, right? So someone's got to go order this, and before you can order it, you got to know where the people got the drugs. So one of the big hurdles, let's establish what drug they're using and where they're getting it from. Number two, let's establish what's wrong with people's mouth, right? I think internally, right, we're kind of drawing the line roughly at about 3 extractions. Right?
3 extractions or 3 teeth naturally rotting out of the mouth after using, again, Suboxone sublingual strips.
So when we're filing these cases, we're filing them into MDL or multi-district litigation. Okay, each and every one of these cases that's filed in a federal court, we've got to make an allegation. We've got to be able to allege that the injuries or the damages sustained by the client are at least $75,000. That's your jurisdictional threshold for getting there. All right. What we're worried about is, hey, you get somebody who's got Suboxone in one cavity, we're worried we may not be able to show that claim reaches that jurisdictional threshold of $75,000 in damages. Correct. So, internally, is it arbitrary? Yes. Is it set in stone? Is there any true guideline out there on when you cross 75,000? No. But you got to set a threshold somewhere. So internally, we've done that at 3 extractions,
and that makes sense. Gingivitis, cavities, advanced tooth decay. There's other confounding factors for that, but showing that an individual took Suboxone sublingual strips or used it for a period of 6 months, then had 3, 4, 5, 6, a whole set of teeth lost. That's going to be an easier proof in terms of a causal link.
Okay, and we addressed this in the earlier podcast, but look, I think it's worth addressing again because it was my very first thought when you mentioned us, hey, we might be getting involved in this Suboxone tooth decay lawsuit. Okay, first thought I had, Suboxone is for people who are addicted to drugs, some sort of drug, right? I don't know a lot about that. And don't drugs rot people's teeth anyway?
And that's a question I'm often asked, and no. Certain street drugs do that we know about. Crack cocaine, heroin to an extent, meth, clearly. But not opiates. Opiates do not cause degradation of the tooth enamel. They don't cause tooth loss. So to paint those individuals or that demographic with a brush saying that, these are drug addicts and they should, it's not shocking they have bad teeth. That's a leap in logic, and one also, it's a fallacy.
It is, but isn't that what everyone kind of thinks? It was my first thought was, hey, drugs rot teeth, Suboxone rots teeth. How in the heck are you going to tell whether your teeth are rotting due to Suboxone or drugs? Turns out that's not the case, right?
Not at all.
Okay, Suboxone is used to treat opiate addiction. Okay, not used to treat methamphetamine. You wouldn't use one to treat the other. Methamphetamine causes tooth decay, causes tooth rot, causes meth mouth, right? Opiates, from my understanding and from everything I've seen, the risks associated with opiate use and tooth decay is exactly the same risk associated with weed and tooth decay. You may get some dry mouth. Okay, you may get the munchies, right? But the drug in and of itself isn't going to cause your teeth to rot. All right, so now, let's back up. You got someone who's trying to do the right thing, get off of Vicodin because they got some injury, and now their teeth start rotting, okay? They're on Suboxone. There's no warning label on this product, so why the hell would they stop taking it? Because they're not going to know it's what's rotting their teeth.
What makes this lawsuit even more interesting is we already know that Indivior is a bad actor. They already got in trouble for marketing, and we know that they were punished. Their CEO actually spent 6 months in prison. This is not. We're not strangers to this. We knew about this already.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So where does this story end is the fact that what happened was, and we both know the patent was about to run out in the tablet form. They rushed the sublingual form to market because they didn't want to face generic competition. And that's where the issue lies, is this product was not tested, was rushed to market, and it causes such serious issues to the teeth.
Well, that's the biggest issue we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the fact that, when we sit there, okay, Indivior has promoted this sublingual strip. Why do you need a sublingual strip? To keep market, right? Indivior is not like a benign actor. Indivior is a company like every other company. They're trying to make money. They're trying to make profits. That's why they're out there. Patents going out on their one product, right? This Suboxone, and it's a blockbuster, man. They're making lots and lots of money. It's getting ready to go to generic. So what can we do? Let's invent. Let's build a strip. Let's make a strip out of this product, a different method to deliver it, and then get out there and market the hell out of it. Convince everyone that you should be on these strips because it's much more effective than the other product, right? To maintain our market dominance. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, they're a bad actor.
And here's the interesting thing. It's the same product, right? So when you're looking at it, it's just a slightly different method of delivering the same product. At first, well, what could be dangerous about this? People have been using it for years, right? Well, suddenly you go, look, we're putting these strips in your mouth, and you're dissolving this acid basically right on top of people's teeth.
Yep. Which also limits the amount of saliva production, and you suddenly get almost like a dry, rot mouth. And that's what we're seeing from a number of our clients. And the anecdotal proof is there, let alone there were so many adverse event reports that the FDA unilaterally changed a warning label in June of 2022. They required Indivior to change their label. So we know the science. I think the science is pretty strong in this case. I don't think we're going to have a huge hurdle to overcome in terms of science. I think the bigger hurdle in this case is proof of usage. And it's a tough demographic in terms of individuals who might be poor historians in terms of their medical records.
Yeah, and that, for lack of a better word, that just sucks, right? Because, okay, this product is only aimed at people who've got a drug addiction. And if you've not battled with some sort of opiate addiction, you're typically not a candidate for this product, right? So I don't want to call it predatory because it's not, but it stinks that it's almost like Indivior benefits by the fact that they're marketing this drug to a somewhat unreliable population.
Correct. I would say it's predatory. I mean, you're victimizing opiate addicts twice.
Well, it certainly is. Well, in that respect, but I don't want to say it's intentional, right? That they intended these people to get tooth decay, right?
I don't think they intended them to get tooth decay, but I think that Indivior didn't give a shit. And had they given a shit, they wouldn't have pushed this product to market so quickly.
Now that I agree with.
How many companies do you know where the CEO spent 6 months in jail, where 2 of their corporate executives were indicted?
Not very many.
Mm-hmm.
That raises a whole nother issue. And let's talk about it. Indivior's been spanked already. Didn't they already have some problems with this regarding marketing and different things like that?
Yeah, they got nailed to the wall and had to pay a very steep penalty. And 2 of their corporate executives, one went to prison for 6 months. For 6 months, is that prison, or you consider that jail? And then another executive had, I think it was 6 months or 9 months of house arrest.
So, interestingly enough, this is one of the things that I don't even know if I've mentioned to you about this, but one of the things we're looking at on the plaintiff steering committee and plaintiff's leadership is maybe getting access to some of the depositions that were taken in these other litigations, the antitrust, some of the illegal marketing stuff, because they've already had litigation, they've already been hit with big verdicts, and some of these people, some of this testimony can be relevant to the stuff we're talking about. Why are you marketing it this way? What did you do to make sure this product is safe? Because let's just face it, 100%, it's incumbent upon the manufacturer of the product to determine that it's safe before they put it on the market. It's not one of these things that you go, oops, I figured I never should have known. No, it's on you, right? If you're going to sell it, you got a duty to make sure it's safe. I think Indivior rushed to the sale, looked over some potential dangers, and I believe this one's going to come back and bite them in the butt. When you see the number of people that are calling our office, we can sit here and say there'll be days where our office has 80 potential people calling, coming in with new claims.
Yeah, we had a day this week where we had 130 leads.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
I mean that's a lot. So, but we're not the only ones out there doing this. This has happened to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. This has happened to thousands and thousands of marginalized people. Okay, these are people who don't think they've got anything to do about it. Think it's their own fault that their teeth are rotting. They're typically people who've been down, and they're getting kicked when they're down. And really, I think one of our biggest challenges is raising awareness. Letting these people know that, look, if your teeth are rotting and you took Suboxone, they could be related.
Correct. And I think what we're going to find out in discovery is there's going to be some smoking guns. There's going to be some internal emails, I predict. We don't know this for certain, but one could assume that they expressed acknowledgement of how dangerous this product is and that it causes degradation of tooth enamel. And they didn't take this off the market. And they should have taken this off the market. And we shall see. It's going to be an interesting turn of events over the next year, what we learn in discovery.
Yeah, being on the plaintiff steering committee, you get to see a little bit of, opinion from different attorneys and different people giving their input on stuff. And it's interesting because, as attorneys, we come from all walks of life, right? But most of us, if you're on the plaintiff steering committee, if you're involved in this, you've achieved at least some reasonable level of success, right? You've come through, you've done this, and you can afford to fix your teeth, right? So
Correct.
When we sit there, it's hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? Like I could say, oh, what would back pain be like? Because there is no magic fix, right? We'd all go through the same stuff with back, neck, or shoulder. Okay, if you've got money, you can fix your teeth. Right?
Correct.
Matt, if you knocked your whole top of your mouth out, right? If you knocked it all out, within a month, you'd have veneers in there and it would look normal. You wouldn't be running around with no teeth.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
If you did have to run around with no teeth for 12 months or 2 years, right? Let me ask you, what do you think, what kind of first impression are you making on people?
Terrible. And that's, and a lot of these many of these individuals, many of our clients, we've heard their stories. These are horror stories. It kills their vocational prospects, so it kills their employment prospects. Many of them have been fired from positions. You look different. You give a much different appearance. People have less confidence in you. You look like you've abused street drugs when you're missing much of your teeth. It's very sad. Appearances can be deceiving. I mean, obviously, you don't never want to judge a book by its cover. Easier said than done. And it's destroyed the careers of many of our clients. We've seen that. So it's very hard to calculate. It's incalculable what the damages that these individuals have suffered.
Okay, I'll go out on a limb and say, if you ask me, okay, and I'll give you my biases, is it's not like a prejudice. Your biases, your first impressions, these things you can't control, right? But there are very few things, right, that I sit out there that I think make as quick an impression on me about someone's intelligence than their teeth. I could be wrong. You're reading it wrong, but just innately, for some reason, you sit there and you seem to think that someone with bad teeth lacks a certain level of intelligence, and they don't go hand in hand. You can have horrible teeth and be brilliant, and likewise, you can have great teeth.
And we've seen that, many of our clients.
But
it's very sad how society views these individuals, and again, it's tough to calculate. It's almost incalculable the damage some of these individuals have suffered economically, and the job prospects they lost out on, or the careers that have been upended as a result of the tooth loss, degradation of their tooth enamel. You look at individuals who had a perfect set of teeth beforehand who are missing blocks of teeth. It's awful.
It is, and then there's a whole sense of pride, your sense of self-esteem, it's all gone. It's all gone at that point. So, we're trying to do what we can. We're filing lawsuits on behalf of these people. We're trying to get them money to get their teeth fixed. We're trying to get them money to repair what's happened. We're trying to get them money to make them whole for what they've been through. Right? And being that this is a marginalized group in society, they're the ones that need our help the most. Right?
Correct.
They're, if this was a sophisticated group of doctors in a price-fixing scheme, they don't need our help. These are sophisticated people, right? They're out there. They got their own money and resources. It's our job to both raise awareness and get out there and do what we can to right the wrong.
So for those individuals out there, Stan, to wrap this up, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, okay. I'm going to tell you, number one website to go to, and I'm a little biased because it's our website, but when it comes to any mass tort or multi-district litigation, lawsuit legal news, right? It's going to keep you up to date on what's gone on. It's going to basically give you an update anytime anyone moves, breathes, or emotion is heard on any multi-district litigation or case. So even if you're not our client, you can go to that website and get updates. So I'm going to tell you, go there, get updates. You learn not only what this case is about, you learn how to contact us and what to do if you want to take the next step. You can also go to dolmanlaw.com. Okay. Yep. For people who don't know, our website is, our personal law firm website, but it is one of the most robust and well-traveled personal injury websites in the entire nation.
Correct.
Right? There is more information, more content on there about almost any tort, legal claim, single event, Suboxone, all of this stuff. It's there. So either of those websites I would point you to as your very first two stops if you've got any additional questions.
Mm-hmm. And you can reach us at 833-552-7274, toll free, 24 hours a day.
So any questions, go to the website. If you think you've got a claim, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to represent you. Time is of the essence, sooner rather than later. Don't think this is something you're looking into tomorrow, next month, or 2 months down the road. We need to get started right away. If you or someone you know has this problem, please have them. If they're not going to reach out to us, reach out to someone who's involved in this claim and make sure that their rights are represented and they're made whole for what's happened.
Stan, I appreciate it. It's been another great episode of David and Goliath podcast. Thank you very much and have a great day.
This episode of David vs. Goliath is over, but your journey is just getting started. To share your story with us, visit dolmanlaw.com. That's DOLMAN law.com or call 866-965-6242. The insights and views presented in David vs. Goliath are for general information purposes only and should not be taken as legal advice for any individual case or situation. The information presented is not a substitute for consulting with an attorney, nor does tuning into this podcast constitute an attorney-client relationship of any kind. Any case result information provided on any portion of this podcast should not be understood as a promise of any particular result in a future case. Dolman Law Group. Big firm results, small firm personal attention.